I call on Deputy Danny Healy-Rae, and at 8 o'clock I'll be calling on him to move the adjournment if he's still on his feet.
Thank you very much, Leslie Coleman. The right to freedom of conscience is a fundamental right protected by the Irish Constitution and the European Convention on Human Rights. No person should be required by force of law to take innocent life. Irish doctors and nurses and midwives enter their professions to protect life, not to take it. For the first time in Irish history, a Minister for Health is proposing to force doctors to refer women for abortions, forcing doctors to become involved in the abortion process against their conscience is deeply unjust. There is growing anger among nurses, doctors, midwives, pharmacists, paediatric nurses, and doctors. They were never consulted. And it was said wrongly that it was GP-led. Indeed, there was a 75% GP body poll, and 900 GPs responded, and 75% of them say they do not want to participate. Theatre staff, gynecology ward staff, they will be forced and bullied, I believe, to do their job and to do this job that they never entered the profession into, thinking that this was what they were going to have to do. How can a nursing staff manager, if she takes over and to do a 12-hour stint, and the girl leaving says, look, there's 3 termination of pregnancies going ahead there, and this second girl, our nurse, doesn't want to do that or be involved in that, she's going to be forced into it. Indeed, 2 Scottish nurses lost their jobs because of the same reason in 2014, and I can see down the road that this is what's going to happen in our country, and we're not addressing those issues. Most GPs have no ultrasound service available to them, and most of them are not trained to operate that machine. So if a girl presents and she says, I'm 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 11 weeks, how can he be sure it's not 14 or 15 or 20 weeks when he doesn't have that ultrasound service available to him? And then you have where it's understood that if a girl presents up to 24 weeks and on mental health grounds, and something happened with the father of the child or whatever, and she's in a very bad state, of course. What are mental health grounds? And I mean, that's allowing for an abortion of a 24-week-old baby. It's only the other day I had the pleasure of meeting and seeing a baby that was born at 22 weeks. And he's perfect, a lovely little boy. These people that I'm talking about, they came into the profession to save lives, not to kill them. What I'm asking is as well, what happens to babies that will be born alive? Are they going to be saved once they're outside the womb? Are they going to be saved? I myself met a girl that was 39 years of age over across the road last year, and she was aborted and thrown into a bucket, and a nurse, a conscientious nurse, heard her moaning and saved her, and she was perfect over here 39 years later last year across the road. Then the fetal abnormality, sure, we all understood the baby that would have no hope at all of surviving outside the womb, and being honest, everyone felt for that situation, and I did as well myself, and that should have been addressed singularly aside of any abortion bill. But what about if it says a fetal abnormality up to 9 months? I mean, how much of a disability are we talking about? that has never been explained or defined. How much of a disability is it some child with a cleft palate? Who decides that? Who's going to decide that? Because if a child, a baby that's in the womb for 9 months is going to be aborted for some not reasonable or for a very good reason, to me that's murder. And that shouldn't be allowed. And there's an awful lot of deputies inside here, and there's an awful rush on them to get this bill through the Dáil. They don't want to allow, I believe the Taoiseach doesn't want to allow pre-legislative scrutiny. And I think that's very wrong, because this is very, very serious. And many people, and an awful lot of people around the country, when they'll understand what's happening in the actual abortion, we'll say operation itself, they'll be very hurt when they'll see and understand properly what's happening in the case of an abortion and what happens a little baby. Because I believe and have believed and I mean, that once a baby is in the mother's womb, that it is alive. And it's always been referred to as a fetus. I referred to it as a baby. And when we're talking about that it can be that it can happen up to 9 months. I mean, in a couple of days, it's a baby outside the womb, and a couple of days before that, or maybe hours before that, it's just called a fetus and can be aborted. It's very, very, very wrong. And I suppose the other thing I have to say, our abortion laws will be the most liberal abortion laws in Europe. And I respect the vote of the Irish people, but they relied on us in here to do what's right. And if we're going to rush this bill through the Dáil, I don't think that's right. Every little aspect that I've raised here, I had only 10 minutes, should be gone through in every minute detail, not rush it through. And the people out there are depending on us to legislate properly now for this abortion, and to ensure. But we must ensure that the doctors, the midwives, and the paediatric nurses, who were never consulted, that they are consulted and talked to, and to see how we're going to, how it's going to be carried out. It's all right to have the minister say, "There's 12 million there, do it." That's not the way it should be. It should be, gone through. We should go through it properly, and I'm asking that plenty legislative scrutiny is given to the things that I've raised here tonight, because it's very, very, very important. And many healthcare professionals have called on the government not to force doctors to refer women for abortions. The legislation must be amended to remove the requirement that doctors have to refer women for abortion.
Ask your deputy to move the adjournment.
Whatever you say, last call, I'll move the adjournment.
Thank you. That's an order.